Hey everyone, this is Sally Hayes with Matrikas, and I am here today with Stephanie Cortner, and she is a functionally trained acupuncturist, and her focus is on women's health with an emphasis on hormones, fertility, postpartum, and menopause. Welcome, Stephanie. Thanks for talking to us today.
Yeah, thanks, Sally. Appreciate you having me on here.
So excited to talk about this. Menopause is my current favorite topic, but also how it relates to postpartum and the whole cycle. So, first, tell us a little bit about your background and your education and how you got started in this field.
All right. Yeah, it's kind of a long story, but to shorten it up, I was actually I was a biochem major and I was doing research and I was pre-med. I thought I was going to get my MD. My emphasis was in neuroendocrinology, so I did a lot of hormone research on progesterone, estrogen receptors. After working in the hospital a little bit, wasn't so happy. Thought I was going to get my PhD in just doing research with women's hormones, and then switched to going into the natural route and getting my license in acupuncture and herbalism. So I'm a master herbalist and acupuncturist. And then I went back to school for functional medicine because I still miss those biochemical processes. So I wanted to tie the two together. And I'm currently in a doctorate for integrative medicine. So really seeing how we can take best practices and combine them into supporting patients. And I really love women's health and hormones. So that's how I wound up here.
That's really cool. I love that. A lot of people are talking about menopause today, and a lot of people are talking about the fact that we don't have enough education around menopause or perimenopause and like when that starts, how it starts. So, could you walk us through a little bit about what are symptoms of perimenopause? When should we seek um, some support and treatment, and what would that support and treatment look like?
Yeah. So, just if anybody doesn't know what functional medicine is, before I kind of jump into microbiome and hormones, we use lab-based diagnoses. So we're looking at the same biochemical processes as a conventional MD, but we're looking at it upstream. So if we're looking at hormones. We're not just looking at your main sex metabolites like testosterone and estrogen and progesterone. We're looking at the precursors. So, what's fueling those hormones, how to create them. And then we're looking at downstream metabolites. So, how is your liver choosing to detox them? Are we activating them or are we detoxing them in a healthy way? So, we're looking at all the systems from up here and down here. And then we also look at microbiome. So we're looking at our gut health, and it's a big topic, microbiome, but kind of what is that? So what we're doing is we're looking at microbial diversity. So we're looking at all of your healthy bacterias and then all of your not so healthy bacterias. And then we're looking at digestive functions, how your liver is attaching to hormones that you don't need or toxins that you don't need and excreting it through your bowel. So we're looking at the microbiome is your whole system from kind of up here to down to where your bowels are. So when we talk about hormones, I always say you need to look at your gut health first. So I think of our microbiome as our garden. Do we need to plant any flowers? Do we need to pull out any weeds? Because if we don't have our microbiome in a good place, then any kind of hormone nourishment that we're giving, it's not going to assimilate, it's not going to detox, and you're just not going to feel well. Um, so I look at the microbiome, we make sure that's in good health. And then we start looking at hormones. And I would say perimenopause is about a 6 to 10 year cycle. So it's not like you wake up one day and you're in menopause. You have this whole second puberty that you're going through. And you have all these up and downs. So it could start as early as your late 30s. But things to look out for are sleep. Sometimes our sleep gets a little wonky. We have a harder time falling asleep or typically staying asleep. Um, and that's actually, we could go more into adrenals and how to support those, but we'll just kind of stay on topic here. So, sleep, our blood sugar gets off. So sometimes we feel like we're kind of putting on weight and we don't know why, or we're starting to get more hangry, or we're having more food chatter that we didn't have previously. Um, we could have, the typical hot flashes, a lot of dryness anywhere, in your hands, your eyes, any of those mucosal layers in your stomach and your vagina. So it happens systemically. Um, and then cognitive decline. A lot of times our memory fades or we can't remember what we're doing. So all of that kind of brain fog kind of sets in as well. So Sometimes we even start getting like inflammation in our joints. We're not feeling as like flowy. That's more of the fluid decline. So it really could start, in your late 30s, but then progress maybe into your 50. And it depends on when your mom, if you know, when your mom went into menopause, that's historically that helps too. Um, but yeah, it's really great to start prepping and start seeing where you can nourish. Like, do you need to tap into your adrenals? Do you need to tap into nourishment? Our protein needs, our workout needs, they all shift. We might want to stop doing those HIIT classes and do more strength training because we're focusing on bone density as those different types of estrogens are shifting.
So, what are some things in the microbiome that you would be looking at? So, you're going to test somebody, and then what could come back? Like they're functioning very well, they're kind of in the middle, or they're not doing well, or is it a complete change in diet, or is it a we're going to go to hormone therapy? What happens in that microbiome? What's the first step?
Okay. So I always see if we need to do any kind of like killing or eradicating. So if you have overgrowth, and that's kind of these opportunistic bacterias, we all have them in low-lying levels. It's when they become out of the reference range or they give the opportunity to grow. So do you have those? Those can be autoimmune triggers. So sometimes as we're entering our 40s, all of a sudden our thyroid is off and we don't know why, or we're saying like, oh, maybe we have Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease for a thyroid. Like, where did that come from? It also affects fertility. So a lot of those overgrowth microbes can trigger autoimmune diseases. It could be on your skin, it could be thyroid. It also creates SIBO, if anybody's heard of that, small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. But pretty much at the root of what happens is that these overgrowth microbes send out histamine. So you're getting these inflammatory cascades. They're just like signaling out these inflammatory processes in the body. So you want to come in and get rid of those. And then the way to keep those out is, do we have those keystone or commensal bacteria? Whenever we eat vegetables, so those soluble fibers that we're pulling from the vegetables, they feed our healthy bacteria. And what happens when all those guys are being fed, they create a really strong gate. So they protect us against that word that we hear, leaky gut. They protect that strong gate so that we don't have it. So then once that's sealed, then we can now look at our organ functions. Is our pancreas pushing out enough enzymes to digest our food? And as we get older, our digestion wanes. And usually that is because our pancreas just isn't firing on all cylinders anymore. So just taking some bitters in your water is a really gentle way, or taking a digestive enzyme when you eat, and make sure that when you are eating, it's digesting your food so it's not sitting there and fermenting. But then you can pull those nutrients in to support you. And then you can make sure that your metabolism is staying up as well. So when I look at the microbiome, that's kind of what we're doing generally, unless we see any like parasites or pathogens, we can go there too. But that's typically what we're doing. And then when we're looking at, everybody's heard of these like bioidentical hormones now, and it's a very big thing, and it's necessary. So when you are in menopause, we should be on bioidentical hormones. It is protects our brain, our memory, it protects our bones. It's amazing for our immune system. As our progesterone declines, our immune system starts to drop. So very important. But what I say is you want to make sure that you're not being put on those too soon because you need to make sure that your adrenals are strong. And you want to just kind of reconnect the way that your brain is talking to your ovaries and making sure that it's still connecting and pumping out hormones as long as it can. And then after that's kind of depleted, then you can shift. So there are a lot of herbs that you can use to nourish those pathways. There's a lot of phyto or botanical estrogens that you can use, and they support all the symptoms and they support your hormones without putting hormones directly into your system. And there's a lot of research on how wonderful they are. So eating the right foods and nourishing yourself. I always say our adrenals love protein and our microbiome loves veggies. So when the doctor says eat your veggies, there's a reason. Uh, so making sure that you're, getting the protein needs that you need, you're getting all the colors of the vegetables, and then you can add in some phytoestrogens here and there. And it just depends. Like some people run on the hotter side, and some people run on the colder side. So when you're looking at traditional herbal formulas, you're making it very individualized for the patient. And then when you get to a place where you actually need the hormones, pulling in those bioidentical hormones, which I would say find a practitioner that does BHRT and not HRT because they are mimicking the ones that you're naturally made, and they're coming from usually like yams or sweet potatoes. So they're coming from a vegetable, so they're easier on your system.
That's so interesting. So, could you just start eating sweet potatoes or yams or foods that would supplement this? Or is that a good thing to start doing in your 30s anyway? Or does it need to be this specific formulation that you're getting?
Yeah, you can. Chickpeas are high in progesterone as well. So there are foods that you can pull into your diet to support, but I would say that it's the constituents in the sweet potato, and you would need to eat so many. And that's a lot of starchy vegetables. So typically they do concentrated drops that you can do if you're doing it naturally and you just kind of want to soothe that. So you can be on a natural progesterone dropper and you can just do that. But I would say like it's not so much as giving yourself the hormone, it's looking at what feeds that hormone. And for everybody, it's different. You hear DHEA a lot because it feeds the egg quality, but DHEA is a precursor to testosterone and estrogen. It's also anabolic, or it also supports the building of your adrenals. But it's not great for everybody because if you're only pushing it towards testosterone and not aromatizing it to estrogen, then that can kind of create some havoc too. So it's kind of looking at your individualized hormone blueprint and seeing how you need to best support yourself. Sometimes it's just managing your cortisol or your stress output. A lot of people come in 30 and they're like, I'm in early perimenopause. I just need support. And I'm like, are you, or are you just exhausted and worn out? Do we need to see like what you can do with food and with sleep and with movement? And then can we just kind of add in some adaptogenic herbs or adrenal builders to support that?
I love that. Do you work with certain brands for herbs? Do you have your own formulations? Do you formulate yourself? Do you opt that out? How do you work with that? By the way, I love herbs. I'm fascinated with herbs. I think they're
Yeah. So with
spectacular.
herbs, I have different companies that I use, and it depends. I have an herbalist out in Philadelphia that will do custom tinctures for me. So I write everything up. I send it to him. I use him specifically because he doesn't blend them all together. He does them. It's called decoct. So you're creating this herbal liquid from each herb, and he does it from each one. So you get the constituents and puts them together for me. So if I'm making an egg quality formula for somebody that we really know that we need to work on the egg quality, I'll have him. I write it up. He makes it for me. I do have different brands that I like. For my nutraceuticals, I use all medicine grade supplements that are research backed. So we're looking at absorption rates. So that's really important. Like I always tell people, like CVS and Costco is not where you want to go to get your supplements. Amazon is not where you want to go. You want to kind of get them directly from the supplier or from a practitioner.
I love that. So it sounds like everything that you're doing is so specialized to the individual. So they really need to come in and do a consultation and see what it is for their constitution that they need. Are there any general tips that you could give people
Yes, general for
for like the perimenopause? If you're starting to, have some disruption in your sleep patterns, you're getting a little exhausted more than normal, maybe that weight gain, but you're not quite feeling like you're really in it yet.
yeah. What I will say is when I'm running micronutrient panels, and I see a trend, it's usually that we're low in B vitamins and we're low in magnesium. So I would say my favorite supplement overall is a magnesium glycinate form. Because when you're looking at how your mitochondria or the way that we create our energy, how that's working, and you're looking at what's propelling it, it's always these B vitamins and magnesiums where they're stuck. We just don't have that trace element in our water and our soil anymore. So if you can take, 300 milligrams of a nice magnesium glycinate every day, that's it's wonderful. And if you're deficient in it, you'll notice effects right away. And then bees, they propel our energy cycle. So instead of taking one, I will say do a nice bee complex. And hair loves B vitamins. So for postpartum hair loss, we get on these trendy, expensive brands, but sometimes all you need is just a really nice B vitamin.
That's really good to know. Yeah, the postpartum hair loss is a whole other topic we could totally go into. One more thing that I really want to ask is I do know a lot of people who are taking digestive enzymes like before they eat or with their meals or things like that. Is that something that anyone should do, or should you go talk to someone to find out if you need those or not?
You can. You can definitely do it. If it wasn't right for you, you'd probably have acid reflux. So There's something called H. pylori that sometimes we carry in our body, and it's triggered by stress, and it in huge amounts causes ulcers, but in low amounts it kind of shifts our pH balance. And so people that have like burping or indigestion, or you kind of have that like that fire that we're feeling, usually it's from H. pylori, and you would want to make sure that you had a digestine without like biles in it. But for other people, our pH is too low and we need that bile. So sometimes I say if you take a supplement and you feel good with it, then you know it's great for you. If you're getting acid reflux after it, another great thing to do is just take a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, diluted, make sure you dilute it in 8 ounces of water every night. It's amazing at resetting your pH. It helps overnight blood sugar because I know as we go into perimenopause, our blood sugar gets real wonky. So you won't, that's one thing we have to start stabilizing. And one way to do that is just using apple cider vinegar.
That's amazing. So 8 ounces of water,
One
one
tablespoon.
tablespoon of apple cider vinegar before bed.
Yeah, I like that before bed. And then your overnight blood sugar levels are stabilized. If you're having severe blood sugar issues, you can do it in the morning, but I like doing it at night for perimenopause.
That's amazing. Okay, that's a really great tip. That's amazing. Okay, this has been really, really good information. I feel like this is the topic of the moment, perimenopause, menopause. A lot of questions I get is who are your practitioners working in this field? And I would say a lot of people are actually working in this field, and most people working in any women's health are in some factor working in this. So I always suggest go see your primary, but also make sure that you're seeing an acupuncturist, somebody who's doing integrative health is really important. And is there anything else that you'd like to give us? Any tips or tricks that you want to tell people for some
If
good overall health?
Yeah, well, if anybody's interested, I'm working with a dietitian, Emily Luxford, and she's incredible. I think she's also part of Matrikas, but we're doing a perimenopause or just hormone nourishment workshop on May 17th. So I can send out information about that. But it's a few hours, and we're going to do a deep dive, talk about nutrition and kind of how to set yourself up. And then I'll pull in the functional side, some lab tests, but we'll give a lot of tools to take home. So it won't just be educational. So we're doing um, yeah, if you want to find me, my website is rootbranchwellness.com. And I have an Instagram handle, Root Branch Wellness, so you can reach out to if you have any questions.
Amazing. And do you do virtual visits as well?
Most all my functional medicine is via telehealth.
Great. That's amazing. So you're ba based in Redondo Beach, California for your
Yes.
in-person, but otherwise you treat people outside of California as well, or you
Yeah, we call it coaching, just for liability reasons. But yeah, I treat everybody. I treat everybody in the United States. I even have people in Canada that reach out to me or Europe. So yeah, all over.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Steph, for all your time today and all the great information. I'm really excited that everybody gets to hear about what you do. Everybody check out Root Branch Wellness, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, Sally.
Yeah, bye.